Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I am so happy that you wanted to join me today because today we're going to talk about zero waste, low impact, sustainable, eco-friendly quips maps. I have no less than 50 different tips for your sustainable holiday season. Now let's get into the video because I have 50 tips for you. Let's do this. First of all, buy less gifts. I think that sounds kind of arbitrary, but it is something that we can actively work towards. Decide with friends and family that you want to give each other a collective gift for all of you rather than giving small individual ones. That also gives you more room to give them something that they actually really want and not just, small symbolic gifts instead. When you get a gift, it's a really good idea to also save wrapping paper, ribbons and different types of decor, gift bags, etc. that came with the gifts as wrapping. This is something I've done for the longest time and it's something that I got from my grandmothers because they did it as well. And saving gift wrapping, because it is resources, is a really good sustainable tip that doesn't really require you to purchase anything or to do anything particularly other than being careful when you open gifts so you can reuse the wrapping. You can also wrap your gifts in reusable materials. This is something I've also loved and I've been doing it for the past 5 years, but I usually go to thrift shops and buy towels or kitchen cloths or scarves, anything like that, and I give those as gifts as well, so they don't only get their gift, they get it wrapped in something that they can also use. It can also be canvas bags or tablecloths, basically anything that you can wrap gifts in. It's more sustainable and then they have two gifts basically. And if they don't want your sustainable gift wrapping, you can take it back home and you can use it for another gift some other time. You can also wrap gifts in newspaper or other resources that you have lying around your house already. You don't have to go out and buy something new or even something secondhand. Using newspaper or like advertisements, anything like that can be just as sustainable because you already have it. It has already been produced. The impact's already there. We might as well use it. I also recommend looking less into physical gifts because gifts can be so much more than something that you can wrap. So rather looking at experience-based gifts is a really good sustainable swap, and it's especially nice if you are gifting something to people who are not necessarily into secondhand gifts or sustainable gifts. Giving them an experience instead is a really good way to go, and it can range from like bigger price ranges to concert tickets or like big fly-free vacations, something like that, to smaller things like a museum visit, a picnic, dinner parties. There's so many different things, and basically everyone will like an experience gift that is sort of proportional to them. If someone likes sports, then tickets to a game. Experience gifts are the best thing ever because it allows you to give people gifts that are not into sustainability the same way that you are. There we go. If you want to buy a gift voucher or a gift certificate or even an experience gift to someone, you can get them pre-made, pre-wrapped in plastic, like a gift certificate or a voucher, but you can also simply just make them yourself and save all the packaging and the resources made there. So making your own gift certificate or making your own greeting card is a really good idea. Lots of shops will give you gift bags rather than wrapping your gift in individual wrapping, and gift bags are super easy to reuse and to save and use year after year. So if you get a gift that is wrapped in a gift bag, or if someone else is, ask if you can have it and then you can reuse it over and over. It's much better than commercial gift wrapping because it doesn't break as easily. Of course, sustainable gifts can be many different things, and I think one of the good ways to go about it is by supporting ethical and sustainable brands that can either be clothing related, household related, makeup related, rather than going for the things that you can get in malls or in department stores. Looking at sustainable and ethical companies and support them in this time is a really good idea. You can also support local craftspeople and artists by buying their art or whatever they produce. It can be ceramics, music, paintings, anything really, but supporting the local community is also great this time of year. When it comes to gift wrapping paper, I also generally recommend staying away from things that are glittery and sparkly and in any way shiny, because if it's shiny, it's plastic, yay! And most gift wrapping paper is actually not recyclable because it's treated with plastic coatings in order to have this shiny, nice finish. So if you are using gift wrapping paper that you are buying from new, make sure it's untreated, natural brown paper, for instance. But as soon as there's glitter in it, sparkly bits, a coating of any sorts, it's non-recyclable and there is nothing to do about it but throw it into landfill. Also with gifts, start looking early, because as soon as we're pressured for time, we start going for the most convenient options. And the most convenient options during the holiday season is usually buying something in a department store, in a mall, in like an actual shop that has no focus on sustainability and ethical practices. So be in good time and start looking for gifts, researching gifts early on, so you know that you're able to make sustainable decisions and that you're not pressured for time and will thus prioritize other things at the time. So yeah, start early. Also, don't buy gimmicky non-gifts or mean gifts or like hate gifts, you know, like gifts that aren't really gifts, that are just sort of like a gimmick for fun. They are never produced sustainably. And of course, like this can mean a lot of different things, but I'm specifically referring to like the dollar store-esque things where things have no purpose other than being like kind of funny and, you know, not really that useful, and buying things that you know for a fact that the people you're giving it to won't like, but it's just for a cheap laugh, is just so wasteful. And no, thank you. No cheap products for cheap laughs. Am I right? Instead, if you want to give someone a non-gift, or like something that's a little bit funny, or something that is not the actual gift but sort of like a gimmick, then buy them something that's edible, some snacks, something like that. I am 100% certain that people will like that way more as well. Then we have secondhand gifts. I love buying gifts secondhand, and there's so many different ways of going about it. If someone wants something very specific for Christmas, you can look on Facebook Marketplace, on secondhand apps, or if they're more unspecific, you can go to vintage shops, to retro shops, or to thrift store secondhand shops, any sort of like in the realm of pre-loved things, and buy them something that has already been used. I love getting those gifts myself, and for the past 3 years, me and my entire family have been doing that, giving each other things that have already been used, and I love it. I love it so much. Also, reconsider gift giving etiquette. There's just way too much guilt related to exchanging something, returning something, or, you know, re-giving something, and there shouldn't be. It's super wasteful to get something that you know you're not going to be able to use, but like to be polite, you will just leave it in your room and never look at it again. Super wasteful. Instead, it's okay to be honest about the fact that you don't love everything that you get, and if you are able to return it or exchange it for something you're actually going to use, that's way more sustainable and that's way less wasteful. So do that, please. Also, wrap gifts without using glue or tape. It can be done rather easily with a little bit of string, or the Japanese furoshiki method. Toys can be rather difficult and generally gifts for children, but they can also be found secondhand, for instance on Facebook Marketplace. Otherwise, you can also look into toy swaps with other families. That's also an option. I love making my own greeting cards where I can use natural materials and I can avoid glitter and plastic coatings and stuff like that. So doing something crafty or DIY is also much more appreciated. When you gift the gift, it shows that you actually cared, and it's also more sustainable. When it comes to decor, you can obviously buy decor from local craftspeople and artists, like glassware, ceramicware, things that have been made locally and that support the community. Again. Also, you can buy tons of different holiday decor in thrift shops. There's so much of it, and it's so cheap, and there's so much of it. I don't think we need to buy new holiday decor ever again in the future of the human race. We just need to use what is already there. You can also make your own ornaments and small DIY projects. There are tons of things that you can make with things you already have in your home. Also, use natural elements in your decor rather than synthetic plastic ones. So if you have a park or green area nearby, or even just a yard, you can find branches, dried flowers, grains, moss, grass, leaves, just any kind of outdoor, natural, completely compostable, biodegradable thing, and use that instead. If you live near forests, that's just cheating, and I envy you. And of course, it's super important to take good care of your holiday decor so you can have it for many, many years going forward. I have pine cones that are 5 years old that I keep using every single year. So it can be done. Also, you can make edible decor that you can either eat once the holiday season is over, or that you can completely compost, like using oranges. You can dry them or simply just hang them up whole. You can use gingerbread, and you can use, what else do you have, like cloves are really, really nice. A reusable tree can be a really good idea because they do not all come in plastic versions. I have a wooden tree that is reusable that I'm going to be using for years and years going forward, and that is definitely more sustainable than buying something every year. But a reusable tree is not always more sustainable than the real thing. And that depends on various different factors, like where you live, what kind of reusable tree are we talking? Because if you live where you in a climate that allows you to get trees that are locally grown, that is more sustainable to get than a plastic one that you have and you use every year. So depending on where you are, where you live, what your income is, there can be different variables and it can vary. But I definitely recommend, if you don't want a live tree or like an actual tree, look into different kinds of secondhand options, because that is definitely the most sustainable out of everything, is buying something that is secondhand. But if you have the option between buying a new reusable tree and a locally grown tree, the locally grown tree will actually be more sustainable. I hope that makes sense. If you also have the climate for it, choose a live tree, a tree that you replant once you're done using it at home. And of course, remember to water it during the holidays. Don't have your Christmas lights on during the daylight, because it's super wasteful and no one can see them anyway. I've seen spray painted plants and succulents for so many years now, and especially during the holiday seasons where they're sort of spray painted glittery gold or black or green, I don't know. It's a really dumb idea, and it's a really unsustainable way to treat a plant. Generally because many spray paints actually just contains plastic. So if you're looking to buy secondhand holiday decor but you need sort of specific things, like for instance fairy lights, go to Facebook Marketplace again, or secondhand apps, because you can actually find lots of this stuff secondhand, and it's especially a good idea to buy electronics secondhand. If you are making holiday decor in paper or cardboard, choose, of course, just like with the wrapping, untreated, unglittery, unsparkly paper. You can also reuse newspapers if that is your jam. I also like to use dried flowers because you can use them all year round, and they also look really, really great in your Christmas decor. To use less resources during the holidays, and especially in your decor, pick decor and choose or make decor that doesn't scream Christmas, but that you can use for many other occasions as well. You can also actually recycle your Christmas tree by composting it. When it comes to food, I always make 10 to 15% less food than I expect that will be needed, because that way I won't have just tons of leftovers that I don't know what to do with. And we never ever eat everything on the Christmas table anyway, so making a little bit less food is a really good way to combat or prepare yourself for the food waste and to sort of manage it before it's even there. Also, it's a good idea to make a lot of things from scratch rather than buying it pre-packaged, especially in some cases that can also be more sustainable and require less packaging. Also, of course, reduce your use of animal products in your holiday dishes. It can be something as small as using vegan butter or vegan milks in your baking or in your dishes. No one can taste the difference, and it's more planet friendly. Or you can reduce animal products by going all the way and making vegetarian or vegan holiday dishes. I actually have several recipes for that down below, so you can of course go and find them, but they are a huge success and they are all approved by my dad. And generally, when it comes to everything, but especially when it comes to sort of snacks, treats, sweets, don't buy more than you know you're going to eat. It's a really good idea to research recipes that specifically involves leftovers. That way you know specifically what to do with them, and it can be a really good idea to use stuff like Pinterest to gain some new inspiration. When you have leftovers, because I feel like it's almost impossible to avoid, but leftovers should be wrapped in reusables rather than tinfoil or plastic wrapping. You can use stasher bags or a tiffin or two plates on top of each other or wax wraps. There's so many different options for reusable food storage. Just, you know, like a good old mason jar, good old jam jar from the grocery store. So many different options, so you don't need disposables. If you are going somewhere else for Christmas, for instance, for a Christmas party with your family or friends, hopefully not too many people, COVID is still a thing, but if you know or you have sort of a suspicion that there's going to be disposable cutlery, plates, anything like that, bring your own in your bag. Also, when it comes to leftovers, you can also donate a lot of the food that you do not eat to shelters and charities, because they really, really need it. The ugly Christmas jumper, it gots to go. It has been sort of like a gimmick for many years at this point that during the holidays you buy a really ugly piece of clothing that is holiday themed, and many many fast fashion shops know that people really want to buy this stuff. And firstly, it's produced horribly under the same unethical, unsustainable conditions as all other fast fashion clothing, but it is also used a couple of times and then discarded or thrown into secondhand shops or thrown away to landfill generally altogether. So don't buy cheap, ugly holiday clothing just for the joke of it. No. If you want an ugly Christmas jumper, you can actually find them secondhand or even vintage and make them like proper OG vintage ugliness, rather than buying something that's mass produced for the sake of a gimmick. Generally, there's a lot of themed clothing, festive Christmas themed clothing that you can buy, like socks, underwear, ties, bow ties, hair accessories, all this kind of stuff that is really just targeted towards being used during the holidays, or even just doing a specific holiday season, like 2020 Christmas merch, stuff like that, and stay away from it. Stay away from all of it because it's so unnecessary, it's so wasteful, and it's so polluting. Instead, you can of course make DIY homemade Christmas merch or Christmas accessories. There's so many things that you can do to your normal clothes to make it seem more festive, and you can venture into the adventure of making it yourself, or learning how to sew, or learning how to DIY stuff. I think one of the more important tips here is that generally have a wardrobe that's really versatile and things that you can use for many different occasions. So something you can style up and make more holiday feeling. You catch my drift, like gold and silver jewelry, like white or green clothes, like accessories with prints that sort of suggest winter but do not scream it in this very obvious way so you can only use it for one thing, but rather try and find things that you can use for many different occasions and style accordingly. And again, I want to end this on a note that is that damn glitter, because glitter is in so many different holiday clothes and makeup, all this kind of stuff. And again, most glitter is conventional glitter, aka made from plastic, and will never biodegrade or be composted. Instead, it will simply just add to the amount of microplastic in the world. So you can of course get biodegradable glitter, that is an option, but another cheaper, more easy option is simply just to stay away from it. And those were my 50 holiday tips. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this useful. Again, remember, I have a whole playlist of sustainable tips and zero waste Christmas vlogs, all this kind of stuff. Of course, there might be things that I didn't get to say in this video, but I hope you will be able to find everything else in that playlist. So if you need more inspiration, there's tons of it. If there's a recipe, I have it. It's in my description. Okay, thank you so much for being here. I hope that you're going to have an amazing December. I hope to see you guys next time as well. Take really good care of yourselves. Until then, bye! Thank you so much for watching this video, and also a special thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys help me create green, zero waste content, and I love you guys. You can find the links to my social media accounts down below and the link to my Patreon on this screen. Bye!